Our next speaker, Inga, she's a security researcher at Cato Networks with 10 years of cybersecurity experience, specializing in threat intelligence and data-driven detection methods, bringing practical expertise in turning enterprise security challenges into innovative solutions. Inga will be telling us about LLMs and why they are not so good at some tasks, because people are always afraid that LLMs will replace all of us. Well, not entirely. Inga, thank you.
Thank you. Quick show of hands. Who here doom scrolls on Twitter? Raise your hand. No way. Only a few of you. Okay. If you're not scrolling on Twitter, you should. It's really funny. This is just an example of what you can see there. But jokes aside, there's actual threat intelligence on Twitter, and a lot of it. Just look at this example. This is the incident that happened last week with the CVE that got released on React. You probably heard about it, that React to Shell. Now everybody is trying to weaponize it, and it was on Twitter. Before it was on any traditional news channel, it was on Twitter. So why is it that today threat intelligence platforms still looks like that? We have a feed platform with vendors like VT, IPQS, IPUse IBDB, and all of them, they collect suspicious domain, URL, file hashes, everything that we should collect and block. And that's great. It's really good. We need it. But can we do something that works faster? Like, can we actually use social media and add it to our platform? Can we consume IOCs, file hashes, domain, and block them immediately? And CVEs, like the one from last week about React to Shell, can we catch it as soon as possible? So hi, I'm Inga, and today I want to talk to you about how we can use LLM to actually look at Twitter as a threat intelligence platform. Before I'm going to show you how exactly I did it, how I gathered all the information on Twitter and blocked it, I want to talk to you about what are we looking for. We're looking at CNC servers, IPs of CNC server that we can block. And if we are looking at Twitter, it will look like that. We have a tweet of a CNC that is IP that is suspected as a CNC, and we have tags, malware, threat intel, everything. I will go over the tag later on. If we are looking at phishing domains, those Googles with triple-O instead of double-O, it looks like that. We have trusted wallet phishing, the domain, which is the secure asset, and we have tags of phishing, crypto scam, all that fun. So we want to collect those and add them to our block list so we actually can block it on real time. But we also have a lot of that. This is a security researcher. He's actually really good. He shares a lot of malwares and malware analysis, but also a lot of images like this one. And he actually said, isn't this a cybersecurity malware account? All they do is cry about an eye and post pictures of cats. Yes and yes. So, how we go from all the noise on Twitter, all the jokes, the memes, all of that, how we can collect actual threat intel. We start with finding the relevant users, the keywords, what actually we should follow. And you will be surprised to know that it's actually harder to find security researchers that share more threat intel than memes. Next, we need to fetch it periodically. This is not enough to catch it once. We actually want to be real time. Catch everything. Every time we have something new, we want to catch it. Next, we need to extract the IOCs, the TTP, the malware, the campaign, everything that we have there. We need to extract it and to enrich it to get a better picture than just, okay, you should block this IP, it's malicious. But we want to add more information to that. Our first mission is to filter who to look for. Let's say we have one user that we want to follow. We know this specific user, he shares interesting stuff, and we want to follow. There's actually a lot of academic work that treats social media as a network graph. We can look at it as a graph when the users are the nodes and the followers and the comments are the agents, and we can traverse the graph to find more users that are interesting to follow. We can do that, but it's a little bit problematic. It will take some time, requires resources, research, and we will do it only once, but we need to update every week or every time, so we will have the freshest resources to follow. But luckily, we have LLMs now. We don't have to do this graph. We can actually ask an LLM, who should I follow? And here I'm using Grok, which is particularly good at this because Grok is also indexing Twitter. So I asked Grok, hey, I'm a security researcher. I'm looking for CNCs, IPs, a phishing domain, everything that might be interesting for a threat researcher. Who should I follow? And I got a very long list of all the users that I should follow. When was the last time they updated? What kind of IOCs they share? How relevant they are to me? Should they be my first priority? Like, if I have a limited budget, who should I look for? So I have this list. It looks great. But I have a slightest problem of hallucination. For example, this user is not an actual user. This is just a placeholder. Because it happens, the model hallucinates. The problem is, it responded everything with such high confidence, so how do I know who should I follow or who is hallucinated by the model? And this is the actual user, and if you're looking for threat intel on Twitter, highly recommended, a lot of malware analysis, CNC IPs. So the hallucination didn't come from thin air. It was because this is a similar username. So what can I do is to improve my prompt and force it to use tools. Grok can actually use API for X. So I force the model. We can say that I'm basically begging the model to do that. Sometimes it works. Later on, I'll show you when it doesn't work. But here it works. And I got a really long list, even better, in the format that I need with validated users. Same guy from before. He approved it. I still have some hallucination, but now it is so much better, and I can just validate it with XAPI. Next, we have who to follow, what keywords to look for, but now we need to collect it. So we use Twitter API to fetch all the tweets. We start with a baseline. We build a baseline for, let's say, a week. What happened in the last week? But now, after we have the baseline and some image of what is going on, we want to build it incrementally, fetch every 15 minutes, every half an hour, whatever we choose to be, so it will be the closest to real time. So the next time we have some massive CVE or some exploitation in IP, so we can fetch it. And if you're wondering how expensive it is to use Twitter API, I will call it Twitter forever. So it's $200 for the basic tier, which gives you around 15,000 tweets a month. This is not a lot. You can also use the Pro account, which is more expensive, but if you have the money to spare, go for it. And we have a backdoor. We can have, there's a lot of scrapers for Twitter on GitHub. You can find them. I'm not going to elaborate on scrapers. You probably know why. So I'm not going to say it on a recorded session. So I'm inviting you to just explore it. Now we have the users that we want to follow. We collected all the data. But now we just have a lot of text. So how do we take this text and convert it to threat intel? Okay, spoiler alert, you know I'm going to use LLM. This is the title of the conversation. But why? Why do I need an LLM? This is an example of a tweet of a user that I follow, and it looks pretty simple. This is just a CNC C2 with an IP, some tags of the malware, the campaign. Looks like a pretty simple task for a regex. So why do I need an LLM? Well, the same user that I follow, that I know he is interesting for me, the same user also shares tweets like this one. Here, I also have a link, but this is a blog about a phishing attack that if you want to know more about it, that you can go and read. But here, this is just a legitimate link. I don't want to extract it with regex accidentally. If I'll do that, it will be really bad. Everyone will just turn off my feature and will never get IOCs to block. So I really needed to read the context of the tweet so I will know if this is a legitimate link that I should allow or something malicious that I need to block. And ideally, on a tweet like that, I will have a JSON response with a structure of the malware name, the type of the value that I'm about to block, which is C2, the value, the IP that I want to block, and it will be amazing if it will also share the sample link so I can go later on and analyze the malware. Unfortunately, it just didn't work. All I wanted is a simple tweet and a response of the threat intel, but it didn't work out of the box. And if you worked with LLM before, you probably know that there's some tricks that you have to do to make it work better. The first problem that I had is false positive. This is a tweet, and I'll give you a second to scan it. Do you see anything suspicious here? Raise your hand if you see anything suspicious. Well, there isn't. Nothing here is suspicious. Sometimes it happens that I have tweets from researchers that I follow, and they don't have any information for me. But unfortunately, the model tagged the link to the Twitter as malicious. And the malware name is Ngate. Well, this is clearly a false positive. And it happens 57% of the time, which is a lot. I cannot trust a platform like that. Well, we have to fix it. And this is just some of the links that appeared as malicious, and clearly none of them is malicious. But I can't just add those and then, oh, if you see one of them, don't report it. Because this is just the majority, but I have so many more false positive. So what we can do at this point is to teach the model to be better. We can use a few short examples, and this is when you actually give the model more examples of, this is a tweet, and this is what I want to get back. So we need to teach the model what to extract, what not to extract, really importantly, and to show empty tweets, like they have tweets but empty responses, that in that case, we don't want to see anything. That's okay to respond with, I don't know, I didn't find anything. And especially for us, it was really important to use negative examples, even more than positive, because we had so many false positives. We went from 57% of false positive to around 2%, which is great, so much better than we had before, but it's still a long tail. So what we can do at this stage, we have two options. We can fine-tune the model, make it even better. Instead of just giving it example, we can rewire the model so it will be better at this specific task. And the other thing that we need to do, and also important, is to obviously not to block any IOCs that we see based on Twitter. We can verify by checking how popular the IP, is it something like Google? Don't block Google, for example. Also, we had another problem. This is a tweet with an CNC IP. It looks pretty straightforward and simple to extract it. But sometimes the model goes a little bit too creative. Instead of just responding with a JSON struct that we need, it actually wraps it in some kind of string or YAML or MD file, everything just not the JSON structure that we need. And this happens in 10% of the time. And the problem with that, it's not just some false positive that we can fix later on. Here, it just translated to data loss. So every tweet that we get back with incorrect format is a data loss. It's IOCs or CVE that we'll never see again. Usually what happens in cases like that we start begging the model to do better. Oh, please, can you respond with a JSON? And if it doesn't work, we say, OK, respond only with a JSON and do not include anything else. And it even escalates to, OK, if you're not going to give me a JSON, I'm going to shift to a different model. And everybody knows this over-engineering the prompt so it will get us a better response. Well, it doesn't work. But we have something to the rescue, and it works on Gemini, on OpenAI, and you can verify me if it works on other LLMs, but we can actually enforce the model to respond with a JSON. And now, it checks every token on the output that it's actual valid JSON. And you can stop. It's a little bit cropped, but I will tell you that now you can stop begging the model. It will respond only with the JSON that you need. What were we able to find? And we are looking of 1 week of threat intelligence on Twitter. We have 1,300 domains, malicious domains, 700 IPs, 2,000 URLs, and 130 file hashes. All of that is only indicators from Twitter. We didn't pay anything except for the expensive API, obviously, but it was just in front of us. And those malicious IOCs are not IOCs from last month or last week, last year or some report. It's actually being active now. People in the community are talking about it. And this is an example of that. This is a tweet from a Hunter team. They shared a file hash at the time when it was shared. No one recognized it as malicious. The VT score was 0. It means that if you log on to VT and check all the vendors that flag something as malicious or not, none of them flagged us as malicious. But if you check it after just a few days, you see that it's actually getting traction. Somebody noticed this is malicious. So by gathering all this threat intel from Twitter or any other social platform that you choose to, you can catch it before everybody else. Another example from the same group, this is a file hash that was also, the funny thing about this one, it was signed by Microsoft. It was actually signed. This is a malware. It was signed by Microsoft, and it's even spelled as Microsoft and not Microsoft. But no one tagged this as malicious, and then it got really malicious. And if you use Twitter, you know that. 29 vendors on Twitter, it's, okay, this is malicious. So we collect a lot of IOCs and we block them. But can we tell a better story? If you have a malicious IP on your network, were you targeted? Who trying to attack you? Can we tell a better story than just, oh, we just block it? So our goal is to find IPs and tell a story behind them. For example, of this little cropped snippet, this is an IP of C2. I want to know who operates this CNC. What kind of malware family is it? How dangerous is it? Should I block it right now? Or I can investigate it and then add it to my block list. So we can enrich this data with ROG system. What we do is to build a knowledge base. We take MITRE techniques, malware families, threat actors, everything that we have now, and we enrich the data. And we actually do this not only one time, we do it over time so it can be updated with all the new threats, all the new threat actors and malwares. And we have LLM with context. This context is our ROG. And next time that we send the tweet, we have also all the context. We don't use LLM that was trained and cut during last year. Now we use an LLM with all the knowledge that we gathered. So now we can have a tweet with IOC and everything that we want to know about this indicator. And our story looks like that. We have a tweet with the IPs and the ports and some tag of Ramcas and DRAT, and this is all we have on the tweet. But in our system, we can enrich it and say what are the capabilities, what is the TTP, everything we can do to enrich the tweet. We do it on our system, and it looks like that. This is a snapshot from the platform. By the way, I'm going to share the code. It's going to be published as an open source. We have the IP, the score and VT, but we also have on every IOCs the story, the Ramcas, everything that we know about Ramcas to this date, and we have a graph. And ideally, over time, when we run it, we will have a really big graph of every threat actors and on every malware. What are the indicators of compromise that are related to that? I've talked a lot about IOCs, indicator of compromise, but what about CVEs? We just saw last week that CVEs are exploiting on Twitter as well. And this is an example of a CVE on Twitter. But from just one tweet, I'm not sure if it's actually exploited. Can I trust it? I'm not going to trust every tweet on Twitter and shift the entire team to work on something just because of that. So how do I know if it's actually exploited? How do I know if the CVE that was just published is it risky? What is the CVSS score? Does it known to be exploited? How do I know everything just from one tweet without going to Google and check and research? Can I get it in one platform? So what Twitter actually gives us, that instead of looking at one tweet, we can harvest the community. We have a lot of security researchers. We can see trends like the one we saw last week. Everybody was talking about, so obviously we need to fix it as soon as possible. And at this example, this is a tweet, a CVE from last year that is being exploited now again. And it was reported by CVE Trends that it's actually legitimate. And we have another tweet that I can't read, but Grok can read it and summarize what's in it. So this is a CVE that suddenly got exploited, and it might be related to a Qlin ransomware group. So now I can see not only the CVE, who is actually exploiting that. And on our platform, it looks like that. The CVE, all the details that we have on every CVE, the CVSS score, how exactly is it used. But we also have an enrichment that if you want to investigate it, the enrichment of who uses it. For example, here it's enriched with Qlin with 70% confidence, and we have all the links and the sources that reported that, and we have a better story instead of just CVE. So what's next? Currently, we analyze a lot of text, but we ignore images. This is an example of a tweet with an image, and one of the IPs was not mentioned on any text. So to improve the system, we need to add image processing, and we'll do it later on. And this is our platform. Its name is RavenX, X as in Twitter. This time I got the name right. And I'll share the code later on. And this is how the platform looks like. We have the map, the world map with all the IPs, the malicious IPs, where the location. We have briefings with what happened in the last 24 hours. That was skipped already. All the IOCs that we collect, they score, they graph, how do they look, who operates them, everything about IOCs, the CVEs. For each CVE, we actually have a trend graph. And you can see that this reactor shell was really popular. And we have all the raw tweets, how they look like, what we collected, and the sources, how credible they are. And this is how the platform looks like. So hopefully, when you investigate any IOC or CVE, you can find every information that you need on just this one platform. So to wrap it up, social media is intelligence goldmine. We have so much information in front of us, and obviously it's not possible to just scroll and read everything. So LLMs are really helpful with that. They can do it for us. But they just don't work out of the box. What we need to do to improve them is ROG system, enforce the JSON schema, few shots, fine-tuning. We have so many tools to make the LLMs work better for us. Thank you very much, and